You are listening to the MSPoweruser Podcast. This is the podcast for the Microsoft enthusiast and power user. We discuss the latest news from MSPoweruser.com about Microsoft Windows, Surface, Xbox, HoloLens, Windows Mobile, all that kind of fun stuff. My name is Vernon E.L. Smith, and I'm joined as usual by Andy Bennett. Andy, I hope you're feeling a lot better, man.
Yeah, the listeners might know, but I've been going on Twitter for a few days about how I've got a cold, and it hit me hard, but it's getting over fast, so I can't complain. How are you doing?
I am fine. My wife is okay. My children are just full of questions. Our vehicle is damaged, but there's a dead deer in the ditch somewhere. About 45 minutes away.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate, but luckily no one besides the deer was hurt. The vehicle is still very functional. I mean, it'd be an insurance claim or maybe just, maybe it's under the deductible, I don't know, but I'll get to deal with that in the morning. But
that ought to be fun.
But my wife did the right thing. She just stomped on the brakes and didn't try to swerve or anything like that, and she didn't try to go chase down the poor animal and revive it or anything. So she really does have a wonderful heart, and I'm glad she used her head as well. So yeah.
Anyways, I think, if moving on to our first story of the day or night or whatever, Joe Belfiore seems to be back at Microsoft.
Yay! Except, yeah. So, Joe Belfiore, especially for Windows Phone fans, he was just the man. He was awesome. And, we love Terry Myerson. Even Steve Ballmer was pretty awesome. And, of course, everyone loves Satya Nadella. But back in the day, starting in 2010, more like the heyday, 2012 through 14, Joe Belfiore was, the guy we wanted to hear on stage. And he just had such awesome presentation skills, and he just loved to show off the product, services, and really hype it up. And even just in the product videos and things like that, he did just an amazing job of sharing that stuff. And then he took and he always talked about his kids too. He'd have his kids part of the demo, and he would always show selfies of him wakeboarding with his kids and cool stuff like that. Well, he even did the ice bucket challenge, as a lot of people did. Well, he, being such a family guy, he actually took, apparently it was a full 9 months off from Microsoft to go travel the world with his family on a boat or something. And I guess it was a hiatus or traveling education time, which would be absolutely awesome if I was his kid. Joe, why don't you adopt me? Well, he's back. Sort of. Microsoft employee had tweeted, "Hey, Joe just walked by my office," which is pretty awesome, but it was confirmed by Joe that he's not back, ready to work yet. He just is back in town or something like that.
Actually, so, a few weeks ago, around August 8th, he put up on his website saying that he would be back in the coming weeks. And a Microsoft spokesperson told us that the company has nothing to share about his return at the moment, so I'd assume he's just getting situated again. Going back, figuring out what's changed since, he left in, September last year?
I don't recall what it was, but, it was, a year, basically. He said
it's been a while.
Yeah.
So long that a lot's changed, and, so much changed that time. I would not be surprised if they had to, brief him on everything that's gone down.
Yeah, I'm sure. About 6 months ago or so, he got a lot of flack for using an iPhone.
That's just silly.
And it's really? Are you really going to make a big deal about that? And he has been the biggest. He was the guy behind Windows Phone.
I first got into Microsoft stuff around 2013, and I saw Build that year, and it was you see Joe up on the stage, and he puts a lot of passion and effort into his presentations. You could just tell this guy really cared about what he was working on.
So, still an awesome guy. We still love him, but he's not back in a full official capacity with Microsoft yet. But we have
not a capacity they can confirm, at least.
Yeah, and no reason to believe that he won't return into a similar position that he had before. But it's just something that hit Twitter, and everyone's talking about it, and I guess that's why we did too.
Yeah. Also, we just missed Joe. That's all.
Yeah, we do. So Joe always talked about, one thing he talked about was the Windows Store, obviously, and how that was progressing. But lately there's been an issue with that. What happened with this? I missed this, I think.
Oh, well, this actually wasn't even that much of a big deal. I just mentioned it for the sake of the reason behind it, but the Windows Store went down earlier today, and today being the 8th, we're going to put this podcast up on the 9th. It went down for a little bit, and this was maybe a 10-minute downtime, 10 to 15 minute downtime at most, was worldwide, and happened right after the official release of Halo 5 Forge, which we're going to talk about that later. But I think it's just a little testament to either how popular Halo finally returning to PC is, or just how much they need to prepare things for stuff like this.
So is this this app that was being downloaded, potentially, expected to be downloaded, I would imagine. Is it like really, really, it's just an app. I mean, like it's a full size, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the size of it actually, though I would expect it to be fairly decent.
What size scope are we talking here? 5 gigabyte or 50 gigabyte?
I would expect it to be around 10, though. Let me check.
But it's still a PC, like I don't want to call it.
It's a full PC game.
Okay.
It is. Say the size here. No, it doesn't seem to say the size, I guess.
But do people think that this is what took down the store?
Some people do, myself included, because it was pretty convenient timing. I mean, they released Halo 5 Forge, and then just mere minutes later, the store crashes.
But I mean, like, is that demand that great? I mean,
oh yes, it is.
Okay, maybe high numbers, but I just wasn't thinking that the percentage of people that are using a Windows 10 PC.
Well, now you finally have the PC gaming crowd that ignored the store going in there just to try Halo once again, because not only is it Halo's Halo finally returning to the PC after, boy, it's been so long. The last official release of a Halo game on PC was back in the Vista era. So, yeah, that just shows how long some people have been waiting. Combine that with the fact it's free, so they don't have anything to lose. You've got a lot of people downloading something at once.
Okay. So, why is this free? This does not sound like a free game.
Well, is
it freemium or what?
It's it's only one half of the game, basically, in a way. It's Halo 5 Forge is just the game, Halo 5's Forge components, which are basically map building and being able to play the maps you build with your friends. Okay. So, yeah. It's not the full single player. It's not even the full multiplayer. It's just bits and pieces.
I actually did not mean to dig too deep into that right then. That was my fault. Do you want to finish this? Whatever you were talking,
I guess it's
pretty
much almost all of it. I mean, it's Halo 5's map parts on PC. And it's something that people have been looking forward to. It's got up to support for 4K, which is apparently very impressive to see, as now the graphics are no longer being held back by the fact it was on an Xbox platform. It's no longer being held back by console stuff. You can crank your rig up as high as it can go and put it up at top settings and enjoy all that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of not being held back, there is a Sling TV app that was released to Windows 10. And Sling TV, not to be confused with Slingbox. Slingbox is basically like a mirror image in a way of someone else's or your cable box, moving to ported kind of to a different location. But Sling TV is basically apps with TV channels, I suppose. I don't know how to describe this better. You probably, if anyone has used this,
I can describe that.
Yeah, I don't use it obviously, but
it's app-based alternative TV. I think that's the best way to describe it. You pay a monthly subscription with the minimum price being $20 a month for 25 channels, including stuff like ESPN, Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, The Works, And it's a bunch of live and video on-demand content to view at your leisure, So it's for cord cutters.
So I guess I'm a cord cutter. I definitely am. Where would you use this? What is your use case scenario in your household?
Well, admittedly, because I am held back by a data cap on my internet, I don't have too much of a use case for stuff like that, simply out of fear of going over. But if it wasn't for that, I would ditch cable altogether and go for something like Sling, because the price is way more reasonable than my cable is. And not only that, you've got it on every device you own. The Fire TV, Windows devices, phones, etc., etc. You've got it everywhere. And and their Windows 10 app has a lot of work put into it. It is exactly the type of UWP app that more companies should be making. Because not only does it have live tile support, which that's not only standard, I think that even some of the shoddiest developers have actually managed to put in decent live tile support for their app. This has Cortana integration, which definitely is not used enough. I mean, when I first heard of Cortana being announced, you'd think that every single app would get built into this, but alas, no.
I think for the everyday user, it still is not intuitive to talk to your computer or even your phone. It's taking some time for people to work through that, but it's still so valuable to have that there, obviously.
Yeah.
My use case scenario for this, like we just use Netflix at home. We've had Amazon Prime before, and it's fine. And then all the other little ad-filled apps, crappy little apps you get on like any Blu-ray player or whatever. But I think if we wanted to watch certain shows, I think we would probably go with this, and basically to run it in the kitchen or the dining room on an all-in-one PC, or even like we talked about last episode, we talked about that refrigerator PC.
Yeah, that was the last episode.
I think having that in there could be very, very cool, and potential. There's a lot of potential there. I think that could work well, but it's still, I don't know how many people actually enjoy, consume content in the kitchen or dining room, but I think we would, in our family, I think we would.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So, well, next thing here, we always try to talk about Windows Insider, and there really isn't much news for Insider this week. But I have noticed that more than a few people that I know, especially using Windows 10 Mobile, they got the anniversary update, and it's just anniversary update on 950 and the 950 XL is just in a funny state right now. Just kind of a little wonky. And oddly enough, moving forward to the release preview, which I think is 14.393 right now. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, release preview is just cumulative updates, so it would be the same build.
But 14.393 seems, being on release preview actually seems better than anniversary update, which is still very little difference at this point, but it's still, I don't know what's going on right now.
Well, release preview is, the entire point is just that it's the little security and bug fixes before they go to everyone else to make sure that they don't make even more bugs. So it's kind of a given that release preview's likely going to be more stable.
That's fair. It's just it's been, if you were on the preview, you pretty much knew you're going to have some bugs, or it was expected. In this case, it's actually the opposite. So things when they added that third ring, fast, slow, and release preview, I think that's probably when things started to change that way. They understood that there were a lot of people, there were probably tons and tons, obviously, that were doing this, and that it just made sense to have that kind of little, like you said, security bug fix type of thing. I don't know. That's all I got for that, I guess. Our next thing on here, I am actually very excited about. We at MSPoweruser, we use Slack. Slack's a pretty big deal. We use it for a lot of things, but primarily for our in-house conversations, to keep everyone up to date. And we really don't use email. This is our email, replacement.
And some people actually still use IRC for their companies, which I understand that some people enjoy the flexibility of that, but not exactly as easy to use for most people.
Mm-hmm. So Slack is a big deal. There's a lot of things you can do with it, but one thing is missing is the direct replies, like a threaded conversation, basically, in Slack. Well, what Microsoft has done, let me step back a little bit. It was very strongly rumored that Microsoft was going to buy Slack for, $3 billion or $6 billion or something like that, which is almost feels like a low number. But remember, Microsoft bought Nokia for $6 or $8 billion.
LinkedIn was $26 billion, which I still can't get over.
It just blows my mind. So they did not buy Slack. Rumors we heard was that the rumors were that Bill Gates actually convinced the board not to do it. Whether that was wise or not, who knows? I'm not really going to try to debate that. But in response to that, Microsoft chose to build a Slack competitor. Maybe they were working on this Slack competitor all along. Maybe they just took the good bits that they had available, slapped together, and came up with something new. But this is called Skype Teams. So, Andy, do we have more than a few different Skype things?
Yep, we had Skype Link, or actually we had Link, which turned into Skype for Business. We have Skype. Well, you get Skype for Business. I swear I feel like there is another product out there I'm forgetting at the moment.
Well, there is Skype Kick, which kind of little video.
That was thing. That was it.
That was kind of. It was okay. And then, of course, we have all these different versions of these Skype apps on all different, platforms, or literally on different platforms, but also different versions of it on Windows. So it's a little bit convoluted, and the brand is kind of funny. So they added in another one, Skype Teams.
Yeah.
What do you think about the name itself, Skype Teams?
It would make way more sense if it was Office Teams or Outlook Teams or Office 365 Teams. They could even call it Microsoft Live Teams, and I still would consider it a better name than this because it just doesn't fit. I mean, I don't even think Skype for Business really fits. When I think Skype, I think the brand name feels fun, not fun, but consumer, not serious enterprise business work.
Well, who are they trying to pull over? Because think about this, like Skype for Business, or just straight up Skype, has been around for a while. It's something that people are familiar with. They know what to expect out of it. And I think if you went Outlook Teams or Office Teams, I think that basically pigeonholes it into it being straight productivity and like, this is now business. We're getting something done.
That's exactly what this is. Skype's entire purpose, even if it's been often used for otherwise, was for the enterprise and for getting work done. And this is a competitor to Slack, so...
Well, it isn't so much of an enterprise product. It isn't so much of a straight up business, like trying to think of the term. Well, it's basically, as we'll get to a little bit later, how it ties into Office 365. That is a personal thing for, it's a family or personal thing for a lot of people, where they don't necessarily use it at work. Like I don't get Link, or I should say Skype for Business, from my Office 365 account. I get it from my work enterprise account. So I guess maybe I'm sort of splitting hairs here, but I think that they want this to be more of a younger, like I don't want to call it startup or something, but I think that they want this to be universal, where people can recognize it as that thing that used to be like Link, or similar to Link, but also it's this new thing that you don't have to be a stuffy, corporate person to use. So I actually think that Skype Teams, I'll just say Teams itself, that word, I think probably is one of the best descriptors. I think it's probably a decent way to describe it, because you can have a team, or you don't call it a group, and that's really lame, but like a team of party goers, or like, I don't know, that's a horrible example, like just a group of friends, like, hey, we're putting together this bachelor party, let's throw it, put all your info in this Skype team, group or something, channel, I should say. And then of course the actual work stuff you can have in there. I don't know. Yeah.
This is something that does seem aimed at businesses, but either way, let's start talking about Skype Teams itself, I guess, instead of just the name.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
But that's, let me think of a good. All right, let me run down the list here. Basically, it's like Slack. Okay, it's very, very much like Slack, and that's what they're copying, and that's okay. It's not a bad thing to copy. It's also kind of like Yammer. Yammer is something a company would pay for, kind of an internal social network, chat app type thing. So it is similar to that. Within Skype Teams, you have different teams along with different channels within that team, which is very similar to Slack, obviously. Of course, if it's Skype, there's going to be video chat, and that is something it does well, apparently. So you can do that right within the channel, several people in the channel, the conversation, kind of like a thread. Or you can chat privately, as you would imagine. Or there's also an online meeting type of functionality in there. So I think two things here. I think Google Hangouts on air replacement. This would be wonderful. Or it's also similar to like GoToMeeting or something like that. And both of those things, if it even partially replaced those things, had partial functionality of both of those things, I would be absolutely thrilled with it. And especially if it had a video and audio capture mechanism in there, would truly, like, there would be pretty much nothing that I can't think of anything that would prevent me from using this for doing the podcast, having a live show, having people, watch and interact.
I really don't think that, they have anything aimed towards live stuff with this. This seems to be, totally self-contained, like, just like Slack. And that's all this is aimed at.
Well, GoToMeeting, for example, or any other variety of those online meeting things, are mostly audio. When I get on a conference call, or I do a web webinar, basically, it's very rare that we do video, but we always include audio. We always have they put they're casting their display, showing their screen, broadcasting their screen. And of course, they're taking questions, both audibly and through the chat, and that is what I want to do for podcasting. I want to do that, have that capability there. And so, if they are competing in that space, if they're planning to, it wouldn't be far of a stretch for them to have a good podcasting solution.
Maybe. I find it interesting to look at the user interface for this because it's one that seems like it'd be very easily turned into a universal app. It doesn't have the hamburger setup, rather. It's got this similar bar with icons, however, they just have text under them. It's activity, chat, teams, meetings, files. It's one that could easily be converted into a hamburger menu with under 5 minutes of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that the layout of it is nice and flat. I mean, it's definitely that. And
maybe not flat. Well, I mean, yeah, flat, but like definitely not the fully universal stuff, but something that could easily be turned over into it. And it also is one that is not just Slack, which I like. It's not just a blatant ripoff. It is very obviously a competitor and aiming for the same zone, but it's not 100% the same, which I appreciate that in a world where there's programs that are actual 1-1 clones of the Slack interface, like Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, when I first booted up Discord, I thought, oh boy, this is so close. It's just amazing. Which, I like Discord, don't get me wrong, but there's programs competing with Slack that are just so close design-wise that it is an actual ripoff. This is not that. It's refreshing. I appreciate it.
One thing we alluded to earlier is that this does have threaded conversations like you would have in Facebook, or you would have in like on using Discuss or something in a comment section somewhere. And that's something that Slack does not have, and I think it's something that is really, really missing. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, how they implement that, which can't be very difficult. There's plenty of good examples of that. Another thing, since it is Microsoft, like I said before, it basically is going to have Office 365. It's going to be built right. Those Office 365 features will be built right in. Obviously, OneDrive, sharing of files, notes, Word, PowerPoint. I mean, I can see it'd be very easy to cast or present a PowerPoint presentation right into the channel and share it that way. And that's great for productivity. But it's also, if you had a video thing, play a YouTube video or something through there, that could be very powerful. And even as simple as like having like people all over the world watching a movie together at the same time, communing that way, I think could be very, very interesting. And
I feel like that's just, again, I feel that's just totally out of the range of what this is, though. There's a lot of potential for the tech that Microsoft has lying around.
Well, basically, I had heard about little bits of something like this for a while, that they would have a Skype, more of a Skype streaming video, not streaming video, but like something similar to Blab. And of course, Blab ended, and now this gets announced, or this is basically leaked. We'll give Mehdi Hassan a shout out for the Mehdi credit for breaking this news, basically.
Yeah.
Last thing basically in here is that if you have, we forgot a couple of things. It's basically going to be available first to people that use Office 365, or that's the strong rumor. Also, there's bots. Okay, Skype has bots right now. They're pretty good. They're only going to get better. I think we're just starting to learn how to use them. They're not intuitive to us yet, so that's going to be powerful. And in Slack, there's GIF animation, of course, like Giphy, and so Microsoft has a different solution. I'm not thrilled with this name. What do you think of this name, the Fun Picker? That's what it's going.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Hello there, fellow kids. This is fun. On the subject of going back to the bots, though, the only type of bot I could imagine wanting in a Slack-like solution is that have a bot that detects someone saying, "Hey, you have a raise," and then all of a sudden it's ready to order pizza for them. Like, I'd need a celebratory pizza in that type of situation, and having that automated would revolutionize my life.
It's not that far away. It can be, it can be done. There's if this, then that. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff with that. So, But the fun picker, really? And maybe maybe it is so horrible that it will be glorious. I don't know.
I'd expect that something like that to just be a placeholder name. I'm going to be honest here.
Yeah. I mean, like, it must not have. I don't know how they came up with that. That's just surprising. So
yeah.
So, but there's gonna be apps. Obviously, you know, there'll be a web version. There'll be on big Windows. And then, of course, mobile apps, Android, iOS, and Windows Mobile. And it's not available yet. It's just being tested internally, and I cannot wait to try this out.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. But anyways, moving on to our next topic, LinkedIn has launched a new publishing experience on the web, and this is one that is currently only available in the United States, but will roll out worldwide soon. And this is, well, it's a new web interface for publishing things. It's got a sleek, modern interface with a brand new design, a full-width experience for the editor. It says it has rich, engaging multimedia, which makes it easier to add, move, and resize multimedia. It's also has an updated tagging and distribution system to help surface your articles on LinkedIn. You can now add hashtags to an article before you publish, making it easier for professionals to easily discover and search for your content in the feed. Would just like to take a moment here and say, I guess it's kind of hip to have hashtags now, but isn't that just what normal tags on articles are for?
Perhaps, but I think maybe I don't know where they're going to be just at the end of the article, or if they're actually embedded in there.
It says you can now add hashtags to an article before you publish. That sounds...
I see what you mean.
Yeah, that
sounds like a regular tag.
Yeah. Either way, hashtags are now searchable on mobile and are coming to desktop very soon. And so, yeah, that's nice. Maybe not $26 billion nice, but it's nice. It's a what you see is what you get editor. It's okay.
Well, I think that what they have had built into LinkedIn has been pretty good for showing your content, for showing off your profile. And obviously they're trying to shift it more towards a news feed thing and getting more, you know, like the publishing basically this way here. But I think adding easier ways to share different media is wise. I mean, especially if they want to go do that more commercial route and they want to get more paid, you know, promoted ads or like all that kind of stuff. Obviously, Microsoft didn't do this. This was this is well on its way before the acquisition, I would imagine, no doubt.
You know, speaking of paying, especially paying insane amounts of money, that's also our next topic, which that should be fun.
Yeah, so the Surface Book, obviously, absolutely freaking awesome in so many ways, right? We love that thing, at least until we pay for it. I don't have a Surface Book. There's plenty of reasons for that. Several thousand reasons. I'm not going to spend that much money on a Surface Book. But if you do get one for a limited time now, I don't know when it ends, coming up here pretty soon, you get 1 year of Office 365 Personal, which retail is like $70. So that's great that they're including that. But it's like that's been coming with pretty much everything that you buy of Microsoft anyway. At least about a year or two ago, it was like they were just rampant throwing these things, giving them away. And now
it's Oprah tier.
It's what? I'm sorry, what?
It's Oprah tier. You know, you get.
Oh yeah.
You get Office. You get Office. Yeah. You get Office.
Exactly. Yeah. One other thing that they are throwing in is a set of headphones. Yeah, wired headphones.
Will these work with the iPhone 7?
I don't think they will. No, I'm quite certain they won't. But they're giving away free. Microsoft is giving away free wired headphones. Apparently they're pretty nice ones. $200 US. Looking at these, they don't quite look like $200 headphones. I mean, I bought wireless headphones for less that I was rather satisfied with. But giving away free, yay. Buy a Surface Book. They're awesome. Get some Office 365. I mean, Andy, do you know anybody who would consider getting this that doesn't already have Office 365? Like, I don't...
I don't think there's anyone who would specifically start buying a $3,000 Surface Book for any of this. However, it's just more of a nice bonus for anyone who is about to, I guess.
Yeah, it's just good to throw it in there, but I think there are issues stacking them. You can't necessarily roll over a personal into a pro, or not pro, what do you call it, family. Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a nice throw-in bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think I'll hand our next topic to you as well, because this is an area where you're far more knowledgeable than I am.
All right, so we talked about everyone loves the Surface. Surface everything, right? Eventually there'll be a Surface box, right? They'll just blend everything together in one Surface and, whatever. But they talked about the Surface all-in-one computer, PC, whatever you want to call it, countertop PC, that has been rumored, and the latest from Mary Jo Foley is that this launch event, this event that Microsoft is having in late October, and this is rumored, this isn't confirmed yet, they're going to announce the Surface all-in-one line, which could be up to three different devices of three different sizes here. I think that'd be very cool. Apparently the code name is Cardinal. And the hint, the rumors that Cardinal will turn your desk into a studio. So Mary Jo Foley says no one really knows what that actually means.
Actually, it wasn't that Mary Jo said no one actually knows that. That was just from the article. No one really knows what that's actually going to be.
Yeah, my mistake. But I don't think Mary Jo knows either. It's whatever. We'll just see what happens. We were really looking forward to a different Surface device in October. And so the bigger news out of this whole thing is that it's probably not going to be a Surface Phone. Surface Phone is probably getting delayed even further. It's pretty unfortunate. You should definitely check out this article on the site, actually. Microsoft's rumored Surface Phone may not arrive till next fall. And it kind of details how Microsoft has failed at putting out decent hardware, like the McLaren, for example, was amazing in a lot of ways, but it had to be pulled back and basically scrapped. And if you think about it, same thing with the Surface Mini was actually in production. These things have been made and they were not released. Whether that's wise or not, I think in the case of the Surface Mini, that was wise. McLaren, I think we see why that was not released, and that's fine. But it really would be nice to have a pretty stellar device, a Surface mobile device, and not have it just be vaporware, just have it be, a rumor. I want this thing to exist and not be put off for another stinking year. That would be horrible.
Yeah, McLaren, I think, really was more of a test bed for a bunch of experimental stuff than anything else. Meanwhile, the point of a Surface Phone would be much less, to experiment much more, to give the customers what they want, I think.
Mm-hmm. But how many customers are we talking about here? I think
this is true.
And unfortunately, there's those diehards who really want a Surface Phone, and they really don't add up to that many people. Maybe in the millions. Maybe in the millions of people that want this, but it's still, I don't think it's that. But still, it's not necessarily the best choice, or I don't know how to say this. I can see why Microsoft is potentially dragging their feet on Windows Mobile. It's unfortunate, but also in the long term, the 5-10 year plan or whatever, if they don't have a mobile stance, if they don't have something in mobile, devices or handsets, they're completely out of the game, because that's where computing is going. I think that the concept of continuum is brilliant, and I think in many ways it already is. Even in functionality at work, it can be very, very good. And if they hadn't done that, I think we're already several steps behind. This, with Continuum, they're already leading in that how do I say this? That feature is many steps ahead. It's just so
they have one step forward and then 5 steps back.
That occurs also, yeah. But I think that the conceptually and I don't know. I'm giving up on this. Like I don't know where to go with this. Yeah.
We can move on to talking about more phones, which this one is one that might actually happen.
Yeah, this one has been not announced yet, but it has been teased. It has been said that this Windows mobile device, potentially devices, multiples, will be coming out fall of 2016. This is and the brand of this device is Cerulean, Cerulean, Cerulean Mobile, which is owned by a company called Wharton Brooks. I've never heard of Wharton Brooks. I doubt many people listening have actually heard of it. If you have heard of Wharton Brooks and you know them, you can explain what they do. I mean, besides from just reading off their mission statement off the site.
I think they're a company that almost exists just for this, though I might be wrong.
It's a little bit deeper than that. Like, they are in the mobile app space, the Windows app space. Not just mobile, on big Windows too, but apparently they're still pretty small. But if you've heard of them before, please tweet at us, or if you haven't, I guess, say, yeah, they sound like a shoddy little company. In my opinion, I don't think they are. I feel very strongly that this is a small group of dedicated Windows mobile fans that just wanted to do something new and different. And the line that I heard actually is, why are we doing this? Because we can, and because we love it. And why not? Why would you not do this then? If it's something that it's within your scope of, you can do, why would you not? So basically, they have teased several different. They haven't said how many devices, but he basically teased that there would be a small device. People want a small device with the right specs. Some people want a phablet. Some people might want a device that's rugged with adequate specs, and someone might want a device with a strong camera offering. And that's basically four devices right there. Not saying they would all come out at once, but he differentiated those four, almost like those four corners of the mobile.
And according to their Twitter account, they say that it's with Cerulean Mobile's account. They say it's going to be happening this fall. And it's not an announcement that they just made. The account was made back in February 2015, so take that as you will, I guess. It's not... I've been looking into them for this past minute or two, and originally thinking, oh, it's just a small company. This might actually turn into nothing. They don't even have 100 Twitter followers. That's how unknown they are. Okay, this actually has some planning behind it, I guess.
Well, about 4 or 5 days ago, they had about 5 Twitter followers. I mean, they just put those up. I mean, that the social connections were just, like you said, they were created in February or whatever. But
yeah, 2015. So there's been planning for this at least, I guess. And Wharton Brooks themselves have been on Twitter since November 2011. I'm just using this to get dates for the times they might have started planning some of these things. So it's not so I'm sure it's not something that was just an idea thrown together in under a week.
Yeah, exactly. So also you can go to, ceruleanmobile.com and also whartonbrooks.com, and they, like you mentioned, their Twitter handles, you can follow them there. But this has been Greg Murphy. Greg Murphy is the CEO. And he has a podcast. He's had, the first podcast was like 8 minutes long. The next one was 22 minutes long. And this is where they talked a lot about these devices. And basically they're saying, we're going to share this journey as we go through it, as right up to the NDA. Like there's some things they just can't talk about, non-disclosure agreement. But up to that point, they want to share what they can, because it truly is, it's already very fascinating to me. And I know a lot of people would find this interesting. And I think it's positioned The timing is pretty good. Maybe I don't want to be too optimistic here, but I think that Windows Phone fans are waiting for something to be excited about. And that's unfortunate, but this is something that they can be excited about. It's a phone, it's devices, potentially devices, at least one device that is truly made by fans, and they want to continue to get feedback on what people want out of this thing.
Yeah, that's always good.
So they have the podcast. Check it out. I had a tough time finding it in all of my podcast aggregators, but I think if you search for official Wharton Brooks is probably the best search term to use in your podcatcher. Check that out, and man, this is pretty cool. Give them a follow on Twitter. Say, hey, I heard you on MSPoweruser Podcast or something, and want to see what you guys have going. So
yeah,
I'm excited for it.
Tell them Vernon sent you.
Sure. All right, back to something that that I know little about. Xbox again.
Yeah, this is what dominates the end of the podcast every single week, and this week is no exception. This one is, and we're going to start this off with Halo 5 stuff, which kind of ties into what we talked about at the start with Halo 5 Forge for Windows 10, which crashed the store, or rather, it seems like it crashed the store. But anyways, this is all tied into a large amount of Halo stuff that's launched today. The official Halo app for Windows 10 has launched, which it's a little confusing as to what its purpose is, because right now, this is version 1.0. It's going to be updated throughout the months. It's kind of worthless, to put it lightly, because there's none of the features from Halo Waypoint on there, none of the features from the Windows 8.1 Halo channel app, which is still up, still has all of its features, but this has none of the features from an old Windows 8 app that you still need to use for some content. Has just the most basic of things where you can see some news, but clicking on the news opens up an external website. The only thing you are going to click on that's going to stay in the app is YouTube videos. So right now it's just a shell, in a way.
Pretty lame.
Yeah. It is going to be updated monthly, they say, and you can request features for it, but not the strongest launch, you know? Anyways, this launched alongside the Halo 5 Forge app and an update for regular old Halo 5 Guardians on PC. And this one is Anvil's Legacy for Halo 5 Guardians is an update. This is the 9th major content update they've put out. They put a new one out almost every single month. It's a nice update. The most major thing here is that it brings in a content browser for Forge items, which ties into Halo 5 Forge again. Obviously, where you can now download maps and items, etc., created in Forge, and either use them in your own Forge maps or play on actual Forge maps you download. And apparently in a future update, there will be a custom game browser built into the content browser, so you can finally find other people who are playing on Forge maps. So that's nice. Anvil's Legacy also brings in a map from Halo 4, which is Mercy, I believe, and a brand new one, Temple. So it's nice, nothing to complain about. And that's the Halo 5 content for this time, basically.
Well, this next item in here is that Microsoft takes aim at the PS4 Pro over its lack of 4K Blu-ray support. I don't have a 4K display, but I also don't have a PS4 or an Xbox One or Xbox One S. This is huge for some people, and for some people, they don't really give a crap. I
just want to say that this is absolutely crazy for multiple reasons on Sony's end, because it supports digital 4K content for media. So if you're streaming if you stream Breaking Bad on Netflix or something, you can watch it in 4K. If you've got a Blu-ray, you can't, which Sony was one of the main companies pushing for Blu-ray adoption. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but they founded a Blu-ray not association, but a group of people dedicated to Blu-ray. And they're one of the reasons it's as big as it is. PlayStations have been the biggest Blu-ray players for years.
Mm-hmm. Even I know that.
Yeah. And it's like Microsoft has the right to brag about this. They did it in a snarky tweet, which is now being advertised on Twitter, where they say, yep, it's got support for 4K, and that includes Blu-ray.
The Xbox One S, you're saying? Yes.
Yeah, the Xbox One S has 4K Blu-ray support. And it's just, wow. Sony really left themselves open to that one.
So however, Sony also talked about, they also mentioned like another Pro version coming out later or something, right?
No. They mentioned the PS4 Slim, which is basically what they have always done. It's a slim model. Slim revision, same hardware as the regular one. It's just a little bit smaller, and it's going to be sold for $100 cheaper. Okay. It's also pretty ugly, but that's par for the course with Sony since the PlayStation 2 has been over. That was like the last really great looking hardware they made, in my opinion, but whatever. Okay. On the other side of the spectrum, though, there aren't really too many reasons to buy an Xbox One S if you already have a PS4, so it's kind of like an area where two forces are pushing against each other. Because, like, on the gaming side, which is what most people are going to buy this for, you have three main franchises. You've got Halo, you have Forza, and you've got Gears of War. And those are three good franchises, don't get me wrong, but maybe not $300 worth, if you get what I mean. Mm-hmm. If you need a device that will play 4K physical media at the highest quality possible, then by all means, get an Xbox One S. If you have a 4K TV, you have the money to spare on an Xbox One S, I'm sure. Otherwise, not too much. So, for most people, it's going to be kind of a null point. For the people with money to spend, it'll be much more of a point. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And so it's kind of interesting to think about, I guess. Whatever. Anyways, moving on to what should be our final point here. A study helps Microsoft claim that Xbox Live is the fastest and most reliable gaming network, which, the study only put them up against PlayStation Network, which PlayStation Network and I am someone who uses PlayStation Network. PlayStation Network's not very good. So you're comparing a kind of stable, but speedy. Xbox, for all the complaints Xbox Live gets, it is speedy. I get very good download speeds on it, especially compared to PlayStation Network. But it's kind of just alright. I've had it is not by no means the fastest and most reliable gaming network if you look into stuff like PC and look into stuff like, say, Steam, Origin, or maybe even Ubisoft's Uplay. So it's kind of null and void, but it's better than PlayStation Network, so it's probably the best console one. The only other one you have in that area is Nintendo, and Nintendo is a company that, as much as I love them, they still don't know what email is, I don't think. Which sums up how far behind they are with things. Mm-hmm. Even after trying to modernize with the Wii U, it's still not at the area you would want. So yeah, for consoles at least, Xbox Live is the fastest and most reliable gaming network. And yeah. Mm-hmm. That's just consoles, but hey, it's better than PlayStation Network, which is honestly not a hard feat, but they get to brag about it and put it in an advertisement, so what do I know?
Yeah. All right. Well, that is about it, I suppose. Everyone, thank you for listening. Another episode of MSPoweruser Podcast. Man, what episode are we on? Is this 12?
This is 12.
Episode 12. Nice.
Yeah.
Folks, you can follow the site on Twitter at MSPoweruser. By doing so, you can find out when each new episode is available. Of course, follow the site itself. See when the blog post is posted by Andy, of course. And of course, the best way to have the episode direct to you, I should say next one, because you're already listening to this one, right, would be to subscribe to it through your favorite podcast app. And of course, you can set it up to download right away when it's available, all that. If you feel compelled somehow to interact with us, which we certainly hope you do, you can find us on Twitter. I'm at Vernon EL, and Andy is at FusionFan45. That's about it. That's it. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.